Prodromal labor, intense contractions that feel like they're the real deal, but they don't change your cervix, and so you're not in true labor. Hey, I'm Annabelle, nurse, birth doula, and mama, and I'm here to build your confidence in birth. Today we're talking about prodromal labor. What is it and how to survive? Make sure you subscribe to my channel and ring that bell to stay up to date to my latest content. So you're in the last month of your pregnancy and you start to notice some contractions. And they feel like they're the real deal. They're no longer like those Braxton Hicks contractions where you were just feeling some tightening in your uterus. They were mostly up high. You could just keep doing your thing. Maybe they'd stop you in your tracks, but if you drank some water, sat down and rested, those feelings of tense uterine contractions went away. Now you feel like these contractions are low. They feel more like a cramping feeling, and you're having to stop in your tracks and breathe through the contraction. You might be having this contraction every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, every 15 minutes, and you're thinking, okay, they're getting closer together. This is the real deal. This goes on for a few hours. Then all of a sudden it's into a day, another day, and now we're into a week or more, and you're thinking, okay, way back then, that was not labor, but these are so intense. What is going on? Why do I feel like I'm in labor, but nothing is happening? This is prodromal labor. So prodromal labor, you are having real uterine contractions, but your cervix is not changing. And that is key to delivering your baby. You want your cervix to change. You want it to soften. You want it to thin out and open up. That's the opening for where your baby is going to be delivered through. And so when you're having these contractions that are intense, they're less than 5 minutes apart, or at least every 5 minutes apart, and you've been having them with very intense feelings, you're thinking, why is my cervix not changing? And that is something that medical providers, they don't really understand either. And there's some ideas of why prodromal labor happens. Maybe baby's just kind of in an awkward position trying to get really down in your pelvis in the optimal position for birth. And so your uterus is squeezing, practicing these contractions, trying to get baby in the right position. Maybe you are very tense, you're just nervous about labor, and your muscles are reacting. So there's not really a known reason, but what can you do to survive this prodromal labor? This labor that just keeps going on and on and on for weeks, maybe at a time. Your cervix isn't changing, but you are getting exhausted, you're overwhelmed, you're discouraged, and you're thinking, is this ever going to happen? So here are my recommendations for you, mama. I know that you can do this. For myself, with my second baby that I just gave birth to a few weeks ago, I started labor in the middle of the night. I was having some contractions that felt pretty uncomfortable. I was 2 weeks early, so I was thinking, okay, is this really labor? Is this not labor? In the morning, I got up, called my mom and said, come over, get my 2-year-old because I need him to go to you while I'm in labor. My dad, who's an OBGYN, he actually came to my house to pick up my toddler, and he looked at me and sat down on the couch and kind of gave me what I thought was a discouraging talk. Okay, Annabelle, yeah, I know you're having contractions, but you know, prodromal labor is a real thing. Some women have these contractions for maybe 2 weeks, because I was 2 weeks early, and I was sitting there going, no, these are the real thing. That was the most discouraging talk ever. I need to get back in my mindset. And so for you, mama, if you're having some contractions and you're wondering, is this the real thing or isn't it? My biggest recommendation to you is to stay in the right mindset. Don't get discouraged yet. Let your body do what it's doing. Maybe this is going to be true labor and your cervix is going to start changing and you're going to give birth to your baby soon. Maybe it's going to be this prodromal labor where it lasts for a long time. It's a pre-labor. Some people call it a false labor. If that's the case, what can you do? My first recommendation to you of how to survive prodromal labor is rest. And you're going to hear this from a lot of birth educators, physicians, other mamas. Rest, rest, rest. So when your uterus is contracting and it's this big muscle that's squeezing, that's a lot of work. It's gonna drain everything out of you. And especially if it goes on for hours, days, maybe a week or two. So rest. Now, if you're having painful contractions, you're thinking, okay, that's great, Annabelle. Let me go watch another video because rest is not an option for me. So I know that that is what you're thinking. You're gonna have to try as best as you can in between those contractions when that labor goes away for a while to get as much sleep as possible. If you have a toddler running around the house, I know that can be difficult. Call somebody, ask them to take care of your other children. Call into work if you're still working and say, I just need to stay home at rest. I'm not having my baby yet, but I need rest. Ask somebody to cook some meals for you. Ask your husband to clean the house. Whatever needs to be done, get that rest in between those contractions as much as you can. But at the same time, make sure that you're up and you're moving around. If your baby's trying to get into a better position, laying down for hours at a time isn't optimal, so get up and walk. Maybe take a bath and try to move around in the bathtub into different birthing positions to open up your pelvis, help baby maybe get into a more optimal position. And that means on hands and knees, maybe somehow leaning forward in the bathtub, but rest when you can. My second recommendation of how to survive prodromal labor is to hydrate and refuel. Again, this is hard work for your body. You are running a marathon, and for you in prodromal labor, your marathon's even longer. So make sure that you're staying hydrated with lots of fluids, maybe some smart water with electrolytes in it. Make sure that you're eating small snacks during this time that are dense in calories and can really give you everything that you need. I love to recommend dates to mamas that are heading towards labor. They're in their last trimester, last month of pregnancy. Dates, there have been some studies to show that they soften and ripen that cervix, which is what you want because you want your cervix to change. My third recommendation to you to survive prodromal labor is to engage. So this is the second step to how I coach mamas to get ready for childbirth is engage. I first say you need to create a plan and where you're going, and then you need to engage. Engage body, mind, and soul. So engaging means that you are taking time to meditate through these contractions, really breathing through those contractions, remembering your happy place. Your mind is so strong when it comes to your labor process. And if you are nervous that this is prodromal labor and it's never going to end, So if you're nervous and anxious and tense, your mind is not in a healthy place, and that can really slow down the labor process. When your very primal self comes into labor, you want to be safe, and you want to know that you're bringing your baby into this world and that your baby is going to be safe and not eaten by a wild animal. That's how our mind can think. And so if you're tense and you're nervous, your baby is going to stay inside of you even longer because your body's saying it's not safe. I can't bring my baby into this world yet. So try to relax, meditate, have a happy place you go to think I am safe, I'm created to do this, I can do this, my body is capable. Have your birth statement, where you're going and how you're going to get there. So make sure that you're meditating, you're breathing through your contractions, you're just trying to relax as much as possible. But also make sure that you engage your body very actively during this time. In between your resting periods, making sure you're walking. Get outside and do some curb walking where you have asymmetrical movements of your pelvis to help your baby come down into your pelvis and really navigate your pelvis so baby can be born. Make sure you're on your birth ball, bouncing, helping baby descend and press on your cervix. I have another video that I will link in the YouTube cards above about how to really engage baby in your pelvis. And then also having your birth coach watching your contractions with you, writing down when this prodromal labor started, those intense contractions that kind of took your breath away. How often are you experiencing a contraction? So how often is it coming? How long is it lasting? How do you feel when that contraction comes on? If you need to contact your healthcare provider and talk about some options, if this goes on for just longer than your body can tolerate, do that. Mama, you can do this. Remember to stay in the right mindset that this prodromal labor, yes, it is not true labor yet, but your body is getting ready. It's trying to get your baby in the right position. It's trying to tell you something to relax, to try to meditate and be in the right mindset for bringing your baby into this world. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any questions. I'll see you in the next video.